Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the podcast we discuss all things USMNT, La Selección Mexicana, and Liga MX. My name is Adrian. Join me once again, my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's good, man? Loving the jersey.
Thanks, man. This is a pretty interesting one. I got it on a discount, to say the least. But it is technically a St. Patrick's Day Celtics shirt, so
That's dope.
it's pretty cool, huh?
That's pretty
But
cool.
listen, another late night here, talking about CONCACAF Gold Cup 2025. I don't know about you, man, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of these freaking schedules.
Is they're killing us, man. As I think you and I both watched the Inter Miami PSG game today too, and we're not gonna go too deep into Club Mundial de Clubes, but Messi and Miami are out after 4-0 defeat to PSG.
Thank
I think
God,
everybody
man.
expected it.
Yeah.
Those old legs can only carry a team so far. Suarez he looks so old now, bro. He looks so slow. I don't know if you noticed, but man, that was tough to watch, but. It is what it is, Adrian. But I agree with you. Late nights. It is Sunday. Happy Sunday to everybody here in the PPG Nation. Thanks for sticking with us tonight. Late night watching the USMNT, giving our reactions here after that very difficult 2-2 draw where the USMNT ultimately came up on top after going to extra penalties. There was the big surprise, not surprise, but I guess moment of penalties was Berhalter's son who missed his penalty while Berhalter was in the stands watching.
I know, right?
I think that would have been the penalty that won it for the USMNT. But it is what it is. We'll talk about that. We'll get to that point. But before we really analyze that game, Adrian, I want to mention a couple things that happened earlier in the week and earlier in the day. Starting with early in the day, Canada has been knocked out of the Gold Cup. Canada, a strong favorite, Jesse Marsh's team, getting knocked out by none other than the strong Guatemala team.
Crazy. I mean, first of all, eat it, Clyde Laren. Second of all, is I think Jesse March. Listen, I think he wasn't necessarily talking too much at the beginning of the Gold Cup, but he was definitely hinting and hitting at the USMNT for not making its players show up. At least the names of Pulisic, Weston McKennie, and the rest of the ensemble of the Team A of the class. The Team A, the USMNT Team A ensemble here. And I think it just goes to show, like, hey, you better put your money where your mouth is, dude. Like, I don't think anyone expected the Canadian national team to lose this match, right?
Yeah. They were a sure lock for everybody's brackets.
Exactly.
And then to your point where he said in the beginning of the tournament, how's the USMNT not, I didn't have to call any of my players to convince them to come. How's the USMNT's player? And today he says, if we were missing half our squad.
Get out of here, man.
So you were missing half your squad, right. But a lot of your players, I don't know. They ended up losing. Man. Take the L. Canada is out of the Gold Cup. USMNT will play Guatemala. But also earlier in the week, we noticed that there were some rumors that came out that Mauricio Pochettino was interviewed for the Brentford position in the EPL, right? These big rumors causing a lot of polemica, a lot of controversy amongst USMNT fans. And he's saying that, if this were true, he needs to... pretty much let go, hang his boots for the USMNT. He's not focused completely. Let the USMNT get another coach because Pochettino's not focused. He was interviewed. He was asked about this, and Pochettino mentioned that no, these are false rumors. He in no way was contacted by the club. I never talked to them, is what his quote said. And he also told Fox Sports that his answer was absolutely no, and he was careful to even want to address it because there is no truth to the report, according to Pochettino. So Pochettino, for the most part, saying there's no truth to it, but really something that stirred a lot of USMNT fans the wrong way.
Bro, I mean, listen, I think leaving the fact that he's Argentinian, right? And then we know how Argentinian coaches, handle themselves, right? To say the least. We know their
no
MO.
Loyalty.
Exactly. And if you want the most recent case that is pretty much striking home to us is Anselmi with Cruz Azul moving on to Porto, and him saying like, yeah, no, I haven't heard of anything. Same thing with Fernando Gago. No one has talked to me, right? And so, listen, leaving all that stuff aside, right? Even myself, if I'm interviewing for a different job and someone comes and asks me, hey, man, so-and-so are saying that you were interviewed for this role, I'll be like, nah, bro, what are you talking about, dude? Like, it's not the case.
Right.
It's not true, right? So I don't blame him for maybe protecting himself. And I also wouldn't blame him because definitely he's under the gun right now. Like, he's under the scope significantly more than other maybe national coaches, not only from the media, but like from fans as well. So that I think it would make sense that he's looking maybe for a tiny way out. Do I think he's going to leave, drop everything and just, move on? And as they say in Mexico, dejar el trabajo tirado? Maybe not. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he's like, well, you know what? I signed a contract that says that after the World Cup, I'm going to be Brentford's coach or whatever. I don't know, man.
Makes sense. I mean, he also said they didn't contact me. They could have contacted his agent. Right?
Yeah.
We don't know. He was
Exactly.
very
His camp or whatever they call it.
yeah, he wasn't very in depth with his answers. So we'll see. We'll see what develops from this. But as right now, as of June 29th, 2025, Mauricio Pochettino is still head coach of the USMNT, having led them to the semifinal of the Gold Cup after beating Costa Rica 2-2 in a match that was anything but easy for the USMNT. Same problem persisted, Adrian, for the USMNT that we talked about in our previous video recapping the group stage. Unable to really put together dangerous passes, dangerous opportunities for goal, and really unable to, compete in the midfield. We know they dominated possession in this game. I think the possession rate was 64% to USA, 36% to Costa Rica. But from that possession, it was pretty worthless. There was not a lot of there was a lot of back passing. There was a lot of trying to make efforts, unable to find the opportunity, going back. Nothing real dangerous. They had 18 shots, only 4 of those on target. 3 shots on target for Costa Rica with 7 opportunities. I think we were talking before this video. Costa Rica, yeah, they had less opportunities, but they were more dangerous. And I always felt that every time Costa Rica got close, it was going to be a goal for Costa Rica or a better opportunity than the USMNTs. Adrian, do you have the lineup pulled up there on your screen? You want to go through the lineup for us for the USMNT in their 4-2-3-1 for this match?
Alrighty. We have Matt Freese, right, at the helm of the goalkeeper here.
Yep.
Back 4, Freeman, Chris Richards, Tim Breen, and Arfsten. Those are the back 4 defensive line for the USMNT. Tyler Adams starting this time around with Luca de la Torre as the second pivot in the midfield. The 3 forward midfielders, we have Berhalter. Is it Steve Berhalter or what's the
he is Sebastian
Berhalter. Here we go.
Yeah.
Tillman in the middle and Diego Luna on the other side. And up front, yours truly, your favorite guy, man, Augie Mang. I think before we say anything, man, do you think this is another case of our curse? We hype up a striker and
no
then
kidding.
he falls again.
Yeah, y'all been following us for the 3 years of PPG, man. That's something that we're known for here. We hype up a player, specifically a striker, and then he goes to stink town. And I think
Big
that's
time.
the case here. Yeah. Augie Mang, we were hyping him up, Adrian, under Pochettino's first couple of matches, saying that he was playing very well. He was playing very well in the MLS, and since then, man, downhill. And this match was another one. He was very poor. Takes forever to make a decision to shoot or the pass. Loses the ball. Can't hold up the ball. And just a poor match from him. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this match, Adrian, that is the USA going to be able to win this tournament without a number 9? We know they've struggled for the last 3 to 4 years to find a dedicated number 9. They've gone through Balogun, who's seen injuries and who hasn't always been on fire when for the USMNT. Pepe, who's pretty inconsistent. Haji Wright, who's seen injuries. Sargent, who's not consistent and sees injuries. Right? Pifok, Brandon Vasquez, the Capitan of El Caribe, what's his name? Jesus Ferreira, right? All these guys that have had opportunities and just haven't been able to clinch it. Same predicament here, but now it seems worse for some reason just because Augie Mang is just not at that level. But yeah, go ahead.
No. I mean, I was just gonna echo your comments. It's like it seems like a never-ending story for the USMNT. It's just for whatever reason, if they scout someone or if they feel that they're one of the strikers is having a good, a good like
spell.
Yes, exactly, spell of games, right, consecutively. Then they put on the USMNT shirt and everything goes to crap. And I also want to ask you and wonder is like, will they answer or should the USMNT just stick to one striker and just play him, right? Like no matter what, no matter how well they play or how bad they play, or if they have a good spell with their club, or if they're sucking ass with their club, just stick to one striker and just see if it works, Because I cannot help to think that maybe it's also the situation where you don't have your starting 11 striker, right? That one player that the rest of the crew is gonna, make chemistry with,
right? And
maybe that's what it's lacking here. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. But at the same time, how do you control that when there's so many injuries? We saw Pepe out for a while. Balogun's out. Sargent's always out, right? Haji Wright's out with injuries. They're all injury prone, man. But digress. We'll talk about strikers in a later video. But recap of this video, of this match. First goal, it was a very bad penalty, a very rookie penalty that you see in lower leagues from Arfsten to give Costa Rica a penalty. Francisco Calvo scores in the 12th minute. After that, Diego Luna scores in the 43rd minute to finish off the the first half. Right at the start of the second half, Arfsten, the guy that gave the first penalty away, scores in the 47th minute, and then Alonso Martínez scores and ties it up for Costa Rica, 71. Costa Rica had a chance to win it. They hit the post. USA also had a penalty they missed. Malik Tillman hitting the post as well. And at the end of the day, they go to penalties, and it is won by USMNT 4-3. Tolkien misses his penalty for the USMNT. Sebastian Berhalter misses his for USMNT. Andy Rojas, Francisco Calvo, and Juan Pablo Vargas misses theirs for Costa Rica. And Piojo's team, just like that, is knocked out after a valiant effort. But Adrian, I know you were kind of doing other things while you were watching. I know you were watching some, but were you able to? What were your thoughts on that Tyler Adams, like Luca de la Torre? I feel like they're too similar to really give anything forward for the USMNT.
That's a great point, and that's perhaps one of the things that I've noticed is, they are pretty similar in the sense of what they can offer to the USMNT, right? They are not necessarily very creative. They're more of a CDM, both in the same convention. So when you have two pivots, you need one that is a destroyer, someone that is going to go and hit the legs and freaking try to stop the opposition, which I think Tyler Adams does decently well, right? And all things considered, better pace than Luca de la Torre. I think just better physicality in general. And then you have someone with a similar attributes in the sense of strategy, vision, and the way they play. It's just not they don't even complement each other, right? I just felt like at times it felt like a surplus in that specific area. And I feel that you need someone that can link up Malik Tillman with the defensive line, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to be Tyler Adams. That's not going to be Luca de la Torre. You need someone else. Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing is, like, even though we mentioned a lot of times that the USMNT has a very interesting and maybe a reasonably sized pool of players, perhaps this is one of the areas that they need to focus to find a backup for McKennie, because you have a backup for Tyler Adams, Luca de la Torre, and you also have Johnny Cardoso, right? But Johnny Cardoso is not, he hasn't been hot with the USMNT lately.
And he went back to Europe after that injury earlier this season, or earlier this Gold Cup. Yeah.
So this is definitely an area of opportunity for Pochettino to find a backup for the backup, right? Yeah. Because it's definitely lacking there.
Yeah, the creativity is definitely missed. We've discussed it in previous videos, Adrian, where there is a substantial drop. We thought initially that there wasn't that big of a drop between the A starting 11 team versus the B team, C team, right, of the USMNT. But I think noticing how they're playing right now under Pochettino in this Gold Cup, there's a big drop between not having your Adams, De La Torre, and McKennie, and just playing a pivot of De La Torre and Adams, or playing with Berhalter there, Tillman and Diego Luna versus a Tillman, a Pulisic, and a whoever they have on the right wing. I'm blanking right now, but there's a Weah, right? Yeah. I think there's a drop, and we're seeing it now, and that kind of goes to a comment we received recently on a previous video. Someone saying that this is USMNT's C team. I don't think that's true. This is not the C team. There's some A team players sprinkled in there. Chris Reacher's team, Reem, Tyler Adam, right, Tillman. But it's not a complete A team either. And there's definitely a drop and a feeling of this this team is not complete, and it's missing vital key pieces that are going to make it hard for them to win, to beat Mexico in, you would assume, Mexico in the final, right? Assuming USMNT makes it.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. I have less faith in USMNT making it right now than Mexico based off this performance.
I mean, listen, we've been discussing Mexico separately, right? I don't think Mexico has been playing great, but they have at least managed to overcome the obstacles, with some difficulty, right? Specifically during the group stage.
Giving a 16-year-old time and starting.
Yeah, that's a big positive. I encourage y'all to go watch the reaction video that we did for that match yesterday. We discussed Gilberto Mora and how is one of the positives of Mexico, but that's Mexico. This is USMNT now. USMNT talk. It's going to be a tough match, the next one for them. But the expectation, as you mentioned, is they match Mexico in the final, right? That's what we all want to see. And I think that regardless if it's a freaking mix of A, B, and C teams, right?
Yeah.
The expectation is still for the USMNT to make it all the way to the final. Like, that doesn't change, no matter what players you have on the pitch.
Yeah, Tyler Adams is going to want to win that. Richards, all those starting 11 guys, especially if it's against their rivals, Mexico. Mm-hmm. But what would it mean to Pochettino, right? I mean, is he like we talked about in the beginning of this video, is he fully there, fully committed? He looked committed after those goals and those penalties. He looked relieved. But I think a lot of people are still not convinced with Pochettino's ideologies and his implementation. And the honeymoon phase is definitely over. And he is definitely getting criticized now. It's going to be interesting to see how he proceeds in this tournament and going forward. Adrian, USA play Guatemala Wednesday, July 2nd at 6 p.m. In Energizer Park, and that same day at 9 p.m. it's Mexico versus Honduras. Honduras is and Guatemala's first semifinal in many years. And I found an interesting factoid about this match against Costa Rica, that it was Costa Rica's first goal against USMNT in Gold Cup play in 23 years.
Damn.
So, yeah,
that's
and
a
they scored 2.
long time. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens for USMNT and Pochettino. Adrian, as we wrap up this episode, where can our listeners find us, dude?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes. I also want to say, if you see posts of Messi and friends, it's Marcelo. It's not you or me. I don't know. I don't visit our Instagram page that often as I should. But I know that he normally posts stuff about Messi and whatever because he's a Messi fan. That's not me. I'm not a Messi fan, and I know it's not you. I know you're not a big Messi fan either. So it's Marcelo.
Yeah, Marcelo, our marketing guy, he loves Messi. So if you see Messi, all these Messi posts, blame him. But as Adrian said, follow us if you want to see Messi and more USMNT El Tri Liga MX on Instagram, TikTok, on X, Twitter. Follow us, and for all your shorts, if you like short form content, definitely that is where we do our summaries for our short form videos. And let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on USMNT progressing to that semifinal against Guatemala? What are your thoughts on this matchup against Costa Rica? How do you think they fared? Who were your man of the match? Who was your disappointment of the match? How do you think it's going to go for them moving forward? We definitely like interacting with you guys, and we read all the comments, so let us know. Adrian, nice one. I'll see you in the next one, brother.
Take it easy, man.
See you, man. Deuce.